Morning. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. How's everyone doing this morning? Hopefully good. Celsius type of morning. You need Tesla to take a crap, huh? Morning from the Netherlands. The Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman. All right. So today we have GDP. We have jobless claims. We got some stuff in the morning. Some economic data to watch out for. Some key levels to watch out for. So some interesting stuff going on today. Big Nvidia move, obviously, on earnings. Very nice to see that. That'll be very nice for my 100 shares. So I'll be up, if it stays where it is, $2,100 just from shares this morning. So I'm pretty happy about that. That's nice. What else? AMD moving up with it. We'll look at the semis. Look at some individual stock setups. Yeah. Hopefully make it a good day. Some pretty key levels to be watching on the futures and the ES and on the Nasdaq. Some pretty easy levels to focus on today. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So first off, let's pull up economic news. As always, here we go. So here's today, jobless claims at 8:30. And GDP at 8:30. So you guys can see right here, 8:30 jobless claims, 8:30 GDP, and then we got some Fed president speaking later in the day. But this is going to be the thing to watch this morning. We'll see if there's any movement off that today. So that's going to be in about 28 minutes. We'll see if there's any reaction. Expectation is 2.9 on GDP, and expectation on jobless claims is 197. Previous was 194. So the expectation is for there to be more jobless claims, more people unemployed or more people jobless, right? So we'll see how that comes out. All right. So that's that. Earnings. You guys know we had Nvidia. I'll go ahead and pop that up. Where is she? There she is. All right. So earnings, we had Nvidia yesterday, which we'll look at today. Lucid, Unity, Etsy. Etsy, I think, did pretty well as well. Alibaba this morning, Moderna, Domino's, Wayfair. That's real. I mean, Nvidia is the big one. You guys obviously see the movement off of Nvidia today on the future on the Nasdaq last night when Nvidia reported. You saw that big reaction. So I don't expect anything here to really make the market react like it did. Nvidia is really the last big one. You could sort of watch Square, but it's not too big of a part. So Nvidia really the last big earnings of this week. All right. So for the schedule, we're going to look at all the semiconductors: Nvidia, AMD, Qualcomm, TSM. We're going to look at Tesla with its pretty important hold that it keeps holding. Apple, 200 SMA. We talked about this 200 SMA yesterday on Apple. It held beautifully. Google at 91. Energy, the XLE, the XOM, I think they're all at pretty interesting levels. The oil futures are up this morning, so I'm interested in maybe longing some energy. XLE is at the 200 SMA, and the XLE is at the 100 SMA. So interesting levels here on the energy sector. I'm going to be watching this today. Netflix 330, interesting level there. If it breaks down 330, not much support under, could also be a nice hold. So I'm definitely watching this Netflix move. Netflix also had some news this morning that they are decreasing subscription rates in other countries, not the United States. So this could affect Netflix to the downside. I'm going to watch this. And then finally, Microsoft 255. So that's sort of our schedule for now, but we'll see what happens. All right. So here we go. ES, right? I mean, pretty clear. Really nothing that I need to explain again here. We knew there was demand below, and we knew there was this supply above, right? And yeah, that's all we did. So we bounced off demand, right? The 4,000 demand area. We had a little bit of chop under it, right? Which made it a little difficult, right? There was a little bit of scammy action under that 4,000. But ultimately, I think this is the level that holds. Because if we go to like the 1 hour chart, you can see these are mainly just wicks. And the bodies of the candles, for the most part, closed above 4,000, right? You had a wick under, a big wick under. All these candles closed above, meaning that, yes, we did sort of push back below these levels, but ultimately the body of the candle held above. That demand is definitely still there, right? That 4,000 demand, the 50 SMA, it is all very much still there. All right, so we have to respect that. All right, so we have to respect the demand. That's first thing that's very important. But we also have to respect the supply above. You guys can see here on the ES, we are not able to get above this 40.23, 40.24 area. We've rejected it on Tuesday. Tuesday of this week. We rejected it yesterday. We rejected it here in the pre-market. And we're potentially rejecting it again right now. So we have to know that there's supply above and there's demand below. And as of right now, this is simply just a channel, right? We're just channel trading in about a 20-point range on the ES. If you're going to get involved in a channel trade, you have to short here and you have to buy here. That's if you think the market's going to continue to channel, that's what you do, right? You short at the supply, you buy the demand. If you try to buy at the supply and short at the demand, you're having a very bad time. So until this breaks, that would be your goal or your plan. I'd personally rather wait for the break because I think that's where better trading opportunities arise after the break of the channel. So for me, if the market is strong today, I will be looking for a break and hold above yesterday's highs. If we see something like this, I will be looking for upside. The reason why I'm interested in seeing this, we'll jump back in the ES in a second, but this is what the Nasdaq has done, right? The Nasdaq has already done this because of Nvidia earnings and because of some tech outperformance. Here's the Nasdaq, and look at what the Nasdaq did this morning, right? This is previous day highs. We broke it. We came back down, and we have held this level all pre-market, and we are pushing off of it again. So to get a real upside move today, the thing that is going to unleash an upside move today is if the ES can break yesterday's highs, if it can turn yesterday's highs into support, I think that will unleash a move to the upside. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that is the move that will unleash the upside. All right, so that is something I am watching today. If we get a break and hold above yesterday's highs, I could see a move to fill some of this downside from Tuesday, right? Maybe up to 40.50, maybe up to 40.60. I think that is possible, right? And then you would retest these lows. That is only if you can move above 40.24, 40.25 today. That is not a given. So that's at least one thing to be looking at. The other opportunity is that the market just sells off from this supply today and comes back and retests the 4,000, right? That is also very possible. You come back down, you reject this supply on the ES, and you come back down and you test the 4,000 demand once again. Very possible as well. GDP and jobless claims will likely have some type of say here in the next 20 minutes. So we'll see how that reacts, and we will react to that reaction, right? So if GDP pushes us lower, right, we'll have to change change what we're looking at. If GDP jobless claims pushes us up, then we'll have to look for that retest, right? So this economic news here in about 20 minutes is going to influence this technical analysis. So we have to see how that reacts. But 40.25, right, that's the level, and the 4,000 demand, that's the level. It's very clear. You have to wait for either side to break if you want that real continuation move. If you don't wait for it to break, then you have to trade the channel. All right, very easy. So that's the ES. We'll go to the SPY real quick. On the SPY, it's 401, right? Very clear level, 401. Same exact concept. You have to break above 401. You have to turn 401 into support. And if you can do that, then maybe you have a chance of some upside continuation if you can get that break and hold above 401 today. If you do not get above 401, you are possibly looking at another supply rejection back into maybe like this 398, right? Or even this 50 SMA around 397. So today on the SPY, it's all about 401. And on the ES, it's all about this 40.24, 40.25 area. That is very important today. Does it break and hold above, or does it reject once again? That's what you're watching here this morning. Nasdaq, a little bit stronger, right? If I zoom out, Nasdaq a little bit stronger here this morning, obviously because of Nvidia earnings, bringing a lot of tech names with it. You can see the break and hold above 12,180. That's pretty much exactly what we're talking about on the ES, is what the Nasdaq has done already. So you broke it, you held it, you're holding previous day highs, you're turning it into a support. All right, that is important for now. All right, so we have to watch that. If the market does continue higher, I would expect the Nasdaq to try and retest these previous lows. All right here around this 12,270. That would be my expectation. If the market does stay strong, it's about 0.5%, and you could try to see if you could retest this supply. All right, little break and retest, push up into that supply, and then we'll obviously have to react at this area. All right, this could be a supply rejection. Very possible. You just have to trust the levels. So if you do get a long entry off this 12,180 today, if you get a nice retest long entry, right, you can't hold calls through this, right? You can't hold calls through this supply. Then that's just you getting greedy. So you have to be careful. If you do go long here today, you have to be cautious of these previous lows and how they can become another rejection point, right? Look at this hourly chart. So you have this previous low, major previous low. You have this previous low. And if you push into that, right, it could start to fail up here. So be careful. If you are long, be careful up here around this 12,270. All right. So 12,270, 12,180, break and retest of yesterday's highs. That is holding right now on the Nasdaq. And on the ES, if you get above that yesterday high, you probably could squeeze towards that 4060. Right? If you get that same break and retest, you're looking at around this supply around 4060. All right. Obviously, to the downside, it's the same thing, right? Supply rejection of this high, back to 4,000 demand. And if the Nasdaq does break back below, 12,180 here, if we do get a pullback back under 12,180, then you're probably going to see, you could potentially see those lows again, 12,075. That's if you fall back below 12,180. All right. So that's that. Pretty textbook levels today. Nothing that confusing. You just got to stay patient and wait for the levels to hit. That's really it. 4-hour chart on the Dow Jones. You guys can see we're holding this demand down here around that 33,000. Dow held up very strong at that 33,000. If we go to the, let's go to the 15-minute. So here on the 15-minute, you guys can see we have this supply rejection from yesterday that we are not even close to testing. So you can see the Dow is underperforming here. To get upside on the Dow, you're going to need to see a break and retest of this 33,270. Right? That would be the move that gets us potentially back to these lows. Right up here. So, but you need to get that break and retest of the highs, yesterday's highs. You can see the Nasdaq has done that. Right? Nasdaq has done that. The Dow is not even close to that. So you can see the underperformance on the Dow versus the tech sector today. So you're going to need to get a break and hold above 33,270 to get that upside. If we don't get that, right, watch that 33,000 demand, which is also the 100 SMA right there on the Dow. I think the Russell, it's doing the same shit. Everything's doing the same exact thing. So if we go out to the 4-hour chart, you guys can see we held that demand on the Russell right around that 1890 area, right? You can see the previous lows into demand again. But here's the key thing on the Russell. Where's the Russell rejecting this morning? And where did the Russell reject yesterday? Right here at this low from 2 Fridays ago, right? Previous low. And you can see we pushed back into it. You rejected. You can see we turned this previous support into a rejection on the Russell. This is very key. So if the Russell does not get above, I'm actually going to turn this into a supply. 1 second. Make this a little bit cleaner. Put that right there. Make that red for us. All right. So let's go back to the hourly. If the Russell cannot get back above this previous low, you can see it's very visual, right? It's very clear. Look at all these wicks at this 1910 level. Pushed into it, previous low, rejection. This could be a break and retest and a rejection, right? It's very possible. So watch out for this 1910. To get upside, you're going to need to see a move above this 1910, all right? Break and retest of the 1910 yesterday highs. The same concept applies to everything. The same concept is applying to every index this morning. Do you break yesterday's highs and turn it into support, or do you fail to break yesterday's highs and do you move back to the downside? Same exact concept across every single index this morning. So that's what we watch for. All right, Nvidia. So big push, man. Big push on Nvidia. Love to see it. Obviously, I'm a big Nvidia guy. Got a lot of shares. Got like 150 shares. So it's going to be a nice morning on the shares. I don't have any options on it. I didn't really care to play through earnings, but with 150 shares, you don't really need to play through earnings, right? You either make, in this case, about $3,000, or you lose about $3,000 if it goes the other way. But I don't need to play options when I have the shares. So nice big push on Nvidia. 230. That is what today is all about. All right, that is what today is all about. It's 230. You guys know this was a previous weekly chart rejection. You can see right here, major weekly chart rejection here at 230. If we go to the daily chart and get a little bit more time, I will never sell my Nvidia shares, ever. If we go to the daily chart, you guys can see previous rejection here at 230, and you're right back and rejecting it again. Now, do we get over it? That is the main question today. Ooh, little pump. Do we get over it? That's it, right? That's the question. If we can break and hold above 230, I think things can continue here. If that's what I would be looking for. If you get a break and hold above 230, I would be looking for a continuation. That's one of the things I'm looking for today. And then the other option is either a pullback. I'm actually going to make this red zone a little bit smaller here today, just for my own reasons. Let me zoom out. Make this like right up in there. All right, let me go back. Yeah, we're getting a nice little push here into 230. Either a break and hold above 230 for upside. I'd be looking for a pullback to 226. You guys can see right here, 226. And then under 226, I'd look for a pullback to 220. These would be the pullback areas I'd look for on Nvidia for a dip buy. I would hope to see some kind of dip today. I really don't want to just like trade this thing over 230, but if that's what happens, that's what happens. You guys can see previous high. If we get a break and hold above 230, then that would be my potential long entry for more upside. And if we get a move under, if we reject 230, 226, and then 220. Those are my two pullback areas to watch. 226, 220. In IV on Nvidia will not matter today. IV, it totally crushed the IV, the expected move. So if you have calls on Nvidia, you're going to be up a lot. The expected move was $12. That means Nvidia was expected to just move right here. Right? This was where Nvidia was expected to move on earnings. It is not double, but actually, you know what? It's almost double the expectation, a little bit less. So it's a very big move. Option contracts will be up a lot. If it stays here by open, of course. It has to stay above 219 by open. So today's plan on Nvidia, look for either a break and retest of 230, look for a pullback to 226, or look for a pullback to 220. Josh, you know, man, it's like you're fighting the air, Josh. That's basically what you're doing. You're just fighting the air. If you're pissed off about Nvidia going up because they had trash earnings, you're just fighting the air. You can continue to fight the air. It's not going to get you anywhere. I'll tell you that much. If you guys try to fight what the market is doing because you don't think it's right, you're just wasting your time. The market's going up. There's obviously a reason for it. If you hold Nvidia shares, congratulations. Don't be salty about Nvidia going up, and trade what's in front of you. If the market's going up, if there's a break and retest to the highs of 230, if it's still bullish, trade it. If you reject 230, trade the downside. If you move under 226, you could trade that downside too. Whatever happens on the chart happens. You can't fight what the market's doing. It's such a bad thing it's such a bad mindset. It's a terrible mindset to have. AMD. So, break and retest of AMD. You guys can see right here, 77. All right? You guys can see rejection. I really like this retest. This is a very nice retest. I would love to see that continue today. You guys can see previous highs into a support. Right, that would be very nice. That's happening right now. It's happening because of obviously Nvidia earnings, which is very nice. So I would almost rather trade AMD today than Nvidia, to be honest, because I think if Nvidia does continue, there could be a little difficulty with trading it post earnings. I think I'd rather trade it. I'd rather trade AMD on a continuation move. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this. Previous highs into support. Extremely nice break and retest on AMD. I'm just a little bit concerned of this previous low. All right, 20 SMA and 81. I'm a little concerned of that previous low, right? You guys can see if I go to the hourly chart, it could be a rejection point there, right? We could get a rejection point here at 81. So it's sort of running away from us already, right? AMD is sort of running away from us already. I really don't love the risk to reward now here. I would have rather have been in at 77, obviously, for this push, but I'll keep an eye on whether this rejects 81, or maybe if we do get a hold above 81, I'll look for continuation, right? But I would definitely watch AMD today. It's coming off a very nice 77 retest. You guys know we've been talking about this retest like every day for the last few days. We've been talking about the pullback to this previous high and this retest hold, and it did it very, very nicely. So let's keep an eye on this. Let's keep an eye on 77. Previous rejections into support. Let's see if we can get that move back into 81. That's something I'm watching today. Qualcomm. So, Qualcomm. It's a little bit weak, a little head and shoulder here, but I would look to see if this previous rejection point turns into support. I would look to see if this previous rejection point turns into a support. I don't love it right now. Qualcomm also filled this gap. So you can see, yeah, I don't love this chart, but it's something to watch based off NVIDIA's earnings, right? If Qualcomm gets some continuation, you filled this gap on the daily right there around that 50 SMA 123. And then on the hourly chart, 4 hour, it's not a great chart. I would be a little cautious around that 128, 127. It's not a great chart, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because if NVIDIA runs, if AMD runs, Qualcomm might run as well. NVIDIA's over 230. Yeah. She's running without us, folks. She's running without us. Well, if you're holding shares or calls, congratulations. That's a big move. That's a very big move. $23 move. Jeez. TSM. Oh, TSM starting to rocket too. This is another one I would watch today. So TSM didn't quite come back to the retest, which I would have wanted to see, right? Right back to this 83. If we go to the 4-hour chart, it didn't really come back to any clean support level that I like. Personally, I would have rather seen it back to this 83, 84 area for a nice retest long. But it is moving today because of, obviously, NVIDIA's earnings. I would just be careful of like this 91 area. You guys can see this little shelf right here. 91, 92 area. If I go to the hourly chart, you'll be able to see this a little bit better. So right here. So you can see, all right, if we do get more upside continuation on TSM because of NVIDIA AMD or NVIDIA and chips in general, just watch out for this 91, 92 area. Could be a possible rejection up here, all right? So just watch out for that up in this 91, 92. But another nice big move on TSM as well. So TSM, Qualcomm, they're okay. I would personally rather trade AMD today and probably even try to trade NVIDIA. I know everyone's bullish on NVIDIA. I am too. Like, I like NVIDIA, but this rejection could be very juicy. Just keep that in mind. Don't get biased here today. If you do start to see 230 reject, this could be pretty nice. If the market does give back, right? If we do give back some of this move, it could be very, very nice. And it would be a very nice move on option premiums because the put options are going to be pretty much demolished this morning. So it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a very interesting move, right? Just because we got above 230 in the pre-market does not mean that it's going to hold above 230. So this could be a nice little earnings fade. I don't know yet, but we'll see. Maybe we'll see what how this economic news at 8:30 affects the market. No, IV Crush will not affect NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA moved further than the expected move. IV only gets crushed when you move less than the expected move. So the expected move on NVIDIA was $12. That means it's from $219 to around, what is 12 minus, I'm so bad at, that's 200. That's another 5. That's $195. This was the expected move on Nvidia. Right here. This area. So this means that if the stock moves above this high or below this low, then option contracts will appreciate, right? You can see Nvidia is past the expected move, meaning the implied volatility crush will not affect the option contracts. Okay. All right. Let's so we went over the chips. Let's go ahead and just prepare for the economic data here. Let's go to the ES because I want to see if the ES gets over this 40.25. That's really what I'm interested in. If you guys could take a second, press the like button while we wait for the data here, that would be great. I'd very much appreciate that. So we're about to get jobless claims and GDP numbers, and we will see the live reaction here. And zoom in on this. All right. So Goldman Sachs buy. So they upgraded to a buy. That's interesting. The oil futures are, it says oil futures rise. So I'm definitely interested in oil futures today, or just oil in general, right? Or just energy in general, sorry. All right, so we got 40 seconds till some economic data. The main thing we're watching here is whether the ES gets above this 40.25, right? That's going to be the main thing. Do we reject this supply that we rejected yesterday, or are we able to get above it on the S&P 500? That's going to be the main important thing to be watching right now. Press the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Yeah, we're going to look at Netflix, Jeff. I'm interested in Netflix myself. Josh, sorry about everyone jumping up on you, Josh. All right. That's nothing there. GDP 2.7. I think 2.9 was expected, no? Press the like. So, a little bit of a rejection there, right? GDP was lower than expected. That's important. Next is jobless claims. So you can see very nice rejection there on the ES already. We'll see if that continues. We've seen these downside moves get instantly bought back up, so I would not do anything crazy here. There it is. All right. That's okay. That's PCE. GDP 2.7 versus 2.9. PCE price index 3.7 versus 3.2. Jobless claims down 3,000 to 192. Oh, wow. Jobless claims are down again. That's bearish. Technically, that's what we've seen at least. So again, jobless claims were expected to go up and they went down. I mean, it's not by much. So you can see the market reaction is not very big. But the jobless claims are continuing to go down, and they continue to think that they're going to go up. They want them to go up, and they're going down. Jobless claims 192, estimate 200,000, previous 194. I mean, it's not bullish, I would say. Yeah, the treasury yield's jumping. That makes total sense why they're doing that. The dollar's probably going up right now. What's the dollar doing? All right, so, I mean, economic data is not great. It's definitely not supporting a bullish sentiment, I would say. lower GDP and higher jobless claims is not exactly what the bulls want to see there. So yeah, we can see if did the slash ZQ change at all? The federal funds, the funds futures. Do they have a March one? They don't have a March one. The April. And not much movement on the ZQ right now. What's the dollar doing? Yeah, dollar popped off that, obviously. Dollar's sort of breaking out here. Dollar's been strong lately. All right, that's definitely going to lead to some. What's the TLT doing? This is something that a lot of people have been talking about, which I could get, like, I could get behind this. The TLT is, a lot of people think it's front running the market here. All right, if we put well, this is exactly the study that most people are looking at. They'll compare this with the market, like they'll compare this with the Nasdaq or the ES, and you'll see, right? It's very similar until lately. If I can move this chart, I want to move this. Why won't this let me? I would like to put this. I guess it's time related, but yeah, like this, the TLT was pretty much, the market until as of late, right? You can see as of late, the TLT has very much, some people think it's front running the move, right? Which is very possible. Bonds might be showing you what the next move is. It's not guaranteed that is what's happening, but that is what, obviously, the talking heads online are saying. So you don't trade your own money based off what other people are saying, including myself. But that is something that you can look at. Some people are thinking that this TLT move, or just bonds in general moving lower before this market started to move lower, is telling. Can't tell you for sure whether that's true, but that is just a little insight there. So, 5-minute chart. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a battle up here, guys. It's going to be a real big battle up here. That's really all we can say. This 40.23 level is going to be a major battle up there on the ES. And the Nasdaq is still above yesterday's high. So I can't tell you that, this is that bearish yet. It would not make sense in regards to technicals. So if the Nasdaq does lose yesterday's highs, then I would say, yes, things could start to unravel here. If we get something like this, then yeah, possibly. But the Nasdaq is still holding yesterday's highs. If the Nasdaq is trading north of yesterday's highs, I would be careful getting bearish today. Just at a pure technical standpoint. This is still looking a little rough here on the ES. But the Nasdaq in itself is holding above yesterday's highs, which is, it's not something that you want to get too aggressive on the short side until it breaks back below. Yeah, Nvidia is still hot. All right, let's continue. Tesla. So Tesla, this area is just an insane demand as of late. This whole zone on Tesla, right? This whole green box on Tesla. Look at the wicks that have formed on the 4-hour chart in this green zone. Right? That is very telling to me. You can see right here. It is very telling. All these wicks on the 4-hour chart. Every time we move into this green zone, these buyers are just stepping up in this area. So I would definitely not try to short Tesla until it is below this level. If Tesla breaks this level, right, then I think things can get pretty slippery, and you can probably catch some nice downside under around this 188. If Tesla is trading above 188, I think you are battling against, something much more powerful than you to try to short this until you're under 188, right? You can see right here. It's very clear. You can clearly see the demand that's stepping up in this level, right, in this zone. Only way you can short Tesla as of late, in my opinion, is under 188 if you really want that continuation move. On the upside, I would be a little bit cautious of longing into 210, right? Just be careful of 210 on the long side right here. That would be where I'd be cautious longing into. I could see the topping sort of formation that's happening here. It does sort of look like it. I could see maybe like a lower high, lower low starting to build here. But I just can't get behind the short until I see, a break of this 188. Because I know under 188, it's going to be real easy. I don't really want to mess around with this demand zone that has proven itself. So for me, I'm going to look for a break under 188. If we can get under that, I'll try to attack those shorts. But as long as it's above that, right, you can continue to look for buying opportunities off this level, right? You can continue to look for buying opportunities off this demand zone. So you could look for that, look for the short under 188. And if we do get upside today, right, if you're day trading the upside, just be careful of 210. That's all I'll say. Just be careful of 210. If you are day trading this and you're starting to get calls up here at 210, you are potentially putting yourself in a very, very ugly situation. So just watch out for 210, right? It's very clear. Previous lows, previous rejection, Tuesday wick rejection, and it's going to be a tough level up there. All right. Apple, the 200 SMA on Apple was badass yesterday, and I missed it because I'm an idiot. I just wasn't watching it. I should have been. I don't know why I took my eyes off of it because it could have been a sexy trade. I talked about this all morning too. So 200 SMA, Apple, right there. You can see it sort of swooping in right around that 147 level, previous high, demand level right at the 200 SMA. Look at this 1 minute chart. I mean, this just can't get much more beautiful than that, right? Double bottom right at the 200 SMA. Take your longs here with the idea of it holding that 200. Could have been a really sexy trade. If anyone took that, congratulations. That was very nice. Moving forward, right, I would just be cautious. Apple doesn't look that hot here. It did hold that 200. It did push off of it, but I really don't like the longs into this supply, into this 151. So watch out for that 151. You could possibly, if the market gets weak today, you could look for that supply rejection on Apple. That's very possible. Supply rejection of the previous lows up here at 151. That's probably the trade that I like the most. I really don't like the longs here anymore. You had to go long down here. You had to go long here. If you're not long on Apple right around 148, you're chasing it at this point. I'd be more interested in the supply rejection at 151. All right. I like to call myself an idiot sometimes. Google. So Google 91 is interesting. If I go to the 4-hour chart, I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna see how Google acts at this low. Right? You guys can see right here. Previous lows here. Yeah, I did see that watch news. That's pretty sweet. If you guys saw that, if Apple can really, whoever Apple partners with, unless Apple does it themselves. If Apple partners with someone if they can read your blood, your sugar levels, for diabetics, that is major, man. Like something to read your blood levels without, a pinch, and you can just read it on your watch. That's a cool breakthrough. Like that's something that's really cool. Really innovative, can make a lot of money off of it, and also just a really nice thing for people to have that are diabetic, right? So that's pretty cool, Josh. I agree with that. I don't know, how much that'll influence the stock in the long term or in the short term. Long term, obviously, it could be a reason to buy shares, but short term, I'm not sure. We'll see if there's any short term reaction on it. And also, I don't know if that's actually a thing yet or if it's just an idea, right? I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it would be RIP to any company that uses the pinch things. It would be total RIP to that. But yeah, I don't know if it's true or not yet. But if it is, it's pretty cool. But anyways, 91, Google, I'm interested, right? It's this previous demand low. I will be watching out for this 93 high, right? Just being cautious of that. But this demand low here at 91 is interesting, right? If I go, you can see here, very clear, right? Previous triple bottom demand. If I go to the 5-minute chart, you guys can see, look at what Google did off this level yesterday. Very clear demand step up, right? Big drop right at 91, huge demand stepped up, and then we sort of consolidated. So I'm interested, right? If the market does push higher today, this could be a nice risk reward for a long entry. Right off this 91 demand, stop under 91. My only concern here is that you push into 93 and then you reject here, right? That's my only concern. would be a push back into the supply and a rejection of 93. So that would be my only concern there. So just watch out for that. But I am interested in that 91 demand down there. Very clean hold of that level yesterday. All right, energy. So energy is, it goes in ebbs and flows. I think that's the right word. Ebbs and flows. I'm not sure exactly the right word for that. But it flows, right? And there's buying opportunities on energy when most people aren't looking at it. The buying opportunity on energy has more likely than not happened at the 200 SMA. All right, 200 SMAs, 200 SMA bounces, big 200 SMA bounce, big 200 SMA bounce, and the XLE is back at the 200 SMA. All right, and it is also at this major demand level. So, right? Ebbs and flows. I don't know the saying. Just forgive me if I butchered that. So 200 SMA XLE. This is interesting, right? This is very interesting. The /CL, the oil futures are also at demand, right? If the oil futures can bounce off this demand low here, if we can get a little bit of an oil futures push, maybe back into the supply at 82, then I could get behind a little XLE swing trade here off this 200 SMA. So this is definitely something I'm interested in. You also have XOM sitting at the 100 SMA. So if I pop that up, you can see right here, 100 SMA on Epstein flows. 100 SMA on XOM. I'm going to be watching this today, right? This is possibly a trade that I put on just for the simple fact of, trying to trade a little demand and 200 SMA hold on the XLE. Maybe like a month out, 2 months out, something that gives me time. I'm interested. Obviously, with that oil futures also green today, about 1.5%, I'm going to be watching it. All right. I know it's not a sexy trade, but it is a possible opportunity that a lot of people probably aren't watching. Netflix. Yeah, Netflix is starting to break under this 330 area. This could be interesting here. A little bit of news this morning that Netflix is cutting subscription prices in over 30 countries. Getting some weakness off of that news this morning, right? This is yesterday's lows right here, around 333. It is breaking below it. If Netflix stays below yesterday's lows, right? If I see Netflix stay below yesterday's lows of 333, this could be a nice slip on Netflix. If I go to the 4-hour chart, right? This is a pretty important demand level for Netflix. And if it does not hold here, this could start moving down towards like this what is this? This is like 320, 321, right? These previous highs here and this wick hold right here. If we do not hold, if we don't get back above 333 today on Netflix, I sort of am interested on this one, especially with that catalyst to the downside. Let me go to the hourly chart. So you can see right here, previous high, right? Previous highs. Previous support right here, and now you are back below that, right? 80 or 333. You're back below it. So watching that, this area could be juicy on Netflix, back down to like 320. Gonna keep an eye on that one today. All right, Microsoft is the last one I got. I really like this setup. We'll see if the market responds correctly, right? The market will need to move lower for this to work today, but this is like the perfect break and retest, in my opinion, for potential further downside. Previous lows into rejections, 200 SMA also right there. Is there a Netflix gap on the daily? Is that a daily gap fill? Oh, Jeff. Nice job, Jeff. All right. Good read there, Jeff. Yeah? You got yourself a little gap fill, huh? What's the low of this candle? 332.63. This is why it's good to have other people with their eyes on the market, right? Because I did not see that. So, you got yourself a little gap fill between 332.63 And really, it's the low of this candle because this day was red, but let's just put a line at the high just in case. 325, I'd say. Yeah, 325 to the low of this candle. The body close of this candle was 315.78. This is really where the gap started, down here at 315.78, because this is a red candle. So the market closed here, and then you gapped up to here. But you do want to watch the top side of this candle as well. So yeah, this could be interesting on Netflix. Is it starting to lose it already? I think it is. Oh no, not really. All right, so watching that today. All right, last one I got for you here. We got to get going. It's getting late. If you guys could press the like button, we got 1,600 people here, more than usual. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you are enjoying the live stream. It seems like we're maintaining that number, so I think you guys are probably enjoying watching. If you are, if you could be so kind and press the like button, that would be very much appreciated. Previous lows, into rejections on Microsoft. I love this potential break and retest rejection. You can see Microsoft dropped these lows, turned it into a rejection point, right? This is very nice. You set up a short here, stop over 225, very structured trade, right? You'd have your stop here, right above 225. Your take profit is down at this 245. That's about 2 points of risk for about 10 points. That's like a 5-to-1 risk to reward. I'm very interested in this one today. The only concern I have on Microsoft is the fact that it really did hold a lot of, it really held up down here around this 252. So is it going to be able to break these lows? That's going to be the question. But still, risk reward is there. All right? Risk reward is definitely there. All right, guys. Sorry I'm not going to be able to get to your stocks today. I got to get over to the Discord chat. It's getting late. But once again, guys, to end the stream, you got to watch the highs of yesterday on the ES. If you do not get over the highs of yesterday on ES, there is no reason to go long, right? There is no logical reason to long this market if you are under yesterday's highs. The only point that I would feel comfortable, like really comfortable saying, okay, I'm long here, is if we break and we hold above yesterday's highs. That is the opportunity you are looking for. You do not need to try to take some little stab at a long without a real confirmation here. Wait for that break above the yesterday's highs. Look for the hold above it. If you get that, that's going to be a really nice long entry. It does not make logical sense to try to long this market if you are rejecting a previous day high, all right? Keep that in mind. Use the futures levels to decide your trades. I would only be comfortable long above that. The other long opportunity you can try, right, is at the demand lows, right? At the demand lows. You could try to play another demand bounce. But I would say things are a little bit weaker than you'd like if you continue to reject the previous day highs on the ES, all right? All right, guys. Have a fantastic day. Be safe out there. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. I'll try not to be dumb myself. Let's remember our rules. Let's not let the morning bell, the ding, 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 make us just throw out all of our rules. As soon as that bell rings, don't forget your rules. Don't forget your risk management. Be smart. Trade things that only have confirmation, something you're comfortable with. Position size correctly. Don't get nervous. If you're nervous in a trade, you have too much money in it, right? Be smart. Long-term game. All right? See you guys tomorrow. Peace out.